that point, but not on the day. That is
Okay.
an option.
Thank you,
But
Barbara.
has
Mr.
there
O'Leary.
been a court decision that required a community to switch it? Or was it an accommodation to avoid litigation?
I would have
that
to
a,
look into
that a
that.
community
I would have to look
opted
into
to?
that.
Because I don't recall any, I remember the discussions, I've heard the discussions before, and I've even read about it somewhere, but I thought it was like the local board or city council decided to just remove the argument. And they,
It may very well have been. I really would have to research it because it was a few years ago.
and this year we had 4 elections this year, right, with the presidential primary, the 4.
Correct.
So we're gonna be going to 4 to 1 to 3.
Yes.
Following fiscal year.
But within the fiscal years,
Right.
the elections are dispersed so that there's actually,
Right.
we never have 4 elections in one fiscal year budget.
Right,
We
okay.
go 1, 2, or 3, depending on how they fall.
I think we need to really look at consolidating if we can.
It would seem to me that the two key elements are, one is talking to the church, because it would seem to me that that would be the most convenient place. And 2 is talk to police safety to determine, what they think about the impact of traffic. And, given a go there, then take it to the next step. But, those are the first 2 hurdles.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think if we went through an election like we just went through, though, I don't know if the church would be big enough to handle it. I don't think the parking lot would be big enough to handle it. So, I mean, I don't know what we'd do, and, maybe we won't see that big of an election for a number of years, but.
The parking lot is enormous. Has it ever been
Well,
in the
it's
back of the
enormous,
church?
Bob, but if you had everybody going with the numbers we had in this last election, I just don't know if it could handle it.
It has been brought up that there were dangers noticed from voters exiting the polls after they voted and traffic coming through the pathway to try to find parking spots, and people were not paying close attention. The police officer on duty brought it to my attention, and we found some slow signs to put up for the last election to try to alleviate that, but on the primary we did notice that people were in a hurry and disregarding it, and that's why I say that you may find that cost savings in police details within the facility will be offset by utilizing police details outside for not just traffic on 62 for entering and exiting, but also for the safety of the voters.
And it's also because, as you fellows that attend, ladies and gentlemen who attend the St. Teresa's, it's different during a service because everyone just packs in against one another. On voting day, you leave a space and a half so you can get out and around, so that you don't get blocked in. It's not like, they don't park like they do for a church service. Everyone's going in at one time, everyone's coming out at one time. I mean, I do it myself. You have to leave a gap between you and the car so that you don't get blocked in to get out. So I'm not opposed to a one location, but I just don't know if the church is the best. But then again, I don't know where we could go. That's the other problem. I can't see the church being able to handle the parking in something like this last election. The people, possibly, but the parking, I don't think so. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth.
And just for your information too, we do have to utilize all of these same members of polling workers, whether we're in one location or the 3. Every precinct must have a warden, a clerk, a set number of checkers for the check-in table, the check-out table, their own ballot box. So you would not be utilizing or realizing any savings in election workers themselves under those circumstances. Just as it is now in St. Teresa's precincts 3 and 4 vote there, they have their own set of election officers. Yes, the number of precincts is dictated by state law. So we, as well as Marcy brought up with population figures, as we grow, we may have the need after this next federal census even to increase by 1 precinct. That's yes, yes. number of residents in each precinct. And, again, it's dictated by state law, so we do have to follow that. State law controls us in everything that we do.
Yeah, we know that, Barbara.
Yes, yes.
They don't give us the money, but they control
To
us.
the choir. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Barbara regarding elections? If not, thank you, Barbara, and I'd like to move on to building.
What number is that, Greg?
Go to tab number 20.
20.
Make pictures for us?
And,
Have pictures? I like
I
pictures.
apologize if I smell a little smoky. We had a 2-alarm fire down at 92 Bailey.
Yeah.
Some brakes get overheated? Brakes get overheated?
Could be. One unit went up.
Yeah.
Was that down?
Good thing my cow was-
Yeah, the commercials
Yeah, I
behind.
thought
us.
so. Either,
That's
yeah.
what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
These handouts are just information for you. Again, like Marcy said, I'm not soliciting any more money, but it's, I want to start with the zoning board of appeals. This is the reality of the 3% reductions. The zoning board of appeals is a small budget. When you add in,
Tab 31. All right, at the very end, Jim. Easy to find.
the board of appeals consists of one part-time secretary plus the expense budget. When you take the 3% reduction, and there's a slight increase in the salary on the part-time position, you're actually reducing the expense budget by 26.25%. Now, the reason I did the sheet is if you continue to do this, 3 more years, you've eliminated the zoning board of appeals. The position can't be cut. The hearings were up 60%. From 2007 to 2008, we went from 28 hearings to 47. So it's growing with the special permits and the variances. So, I mean, even the 17 hours isn't enough. So it's just an information. It's not 3%, it's 26.25%.
Let me ask this question. The number of building permits in terms of new homes is down, but the number of permits for adjustments to homes is up. And what's contributing? Maybe I'll reword it. What's contributing to the increase in zoning board of appeals
More of the
activity?
additions, someone's trying to put on an addition or a garage, and they're confined to their setbacks, they need to go to the board for a variance. So there's a lot of variance, a lot of home occupations, they have to come in for a special permit. People are trying to work at home, obviously, with the computers. So that's up. Anything within the aquifer, they gotta come in for a special permit, any of the cell towers, anything like that. So we had a lot of that this year.
Yes, Mr.
Now,
Vino.
are we allowed to adjust fees for these permits to offset this? I mean, can we, I would think we'd be justified to do that.
I believe the board increased it, the zoning board of appeals can actually vote to increase it without coming to the board of selectmen, and they did that a couple of years ago. They went from 75 to 150, so it's a $150 filing fee plus $33 for the abutters list. To file.
But it may be time to look at that again if we're in this spot where it's not paying what it has to pay. I mean, I
Absolutely.
think this is something you should speak to.
And I don't think there's a cap there. I can find out what other towns are charging, if they're charging $250, $300 for a hearing.
Yeah,
that's a possibility.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's nice to charge what other town, nice to look at what other towns charge, and I believe in doing that, but I don't go by that. because, the other towns may have excess money they're putting into this.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, I agree, I think it's good to look at what they're doing, and.
I also, I think that, looking at 3% reductions across the board in budgets has its limitations. And I think you've identified
Yeah.
the situation.
Right.
Because, unless you're reducing the number of hours and salary, right, you can, very clearly wipe out any
Any particular
expenses in the process on a small budget. So, I think the 3% is a guideline, and when there are specific issues that really impact operations, those have to be looked at on an individual basis.
Well, the 3% on the zoning board of appeals, the 3%, it's gotta come from expenses. So, and that's, that's postage, that's printing, that's mailings, advertising, what you transfer. That's a big part of the budget.
I think what's important in terms of making those kinds of decisions is looking at the activity level. It may be that in another area of inspections, they're down because major building is down. At the same time, activity in another area may go up as a result of this economic downturn, and we need to address it and change accordingly. Okay. Any other questions on the ZBA budget at this point? Based on this reduction, is the expense reductions adequate? I mean, the amount of money left adequate, or are we
Again,
walking off the end of a
Depending on the
cliff?
number of hearings that come in, I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's adequate, there's no way to tell. I mean, the advertising transcript doesn't raise the cost for advertising. There's no way to tell.
But I think you're gonna see an increase in home occupation requests,
Of course,
as the economy continues to go the way that it is. More people are gonna try to work from home and hopefully legitimately come and file for home occupancy.
and there's a lot of startup businesses, I mean, people getting laid off in this economy.
Yeah, and they
trying
start a
something new,
business
so
out of
they'll
their home.
come for the home occupation to just.
So as a result, they're gonna be busy and incur some expenses. So.
Hopefully it works.
But as the assessor said, they are capturing those home occupation in the assessment, which I found interesting. I wasn't sure that they were, but when they were in here, if you recall, they said that they were capturing those residences that have home occupations and adding something to the assessed valuation. So and also getting some personal property tax revenue out of it.
Any other questions on this? Let's go to back to where we were.
I basically did the same thing for code enforcement. Gave you the same numbers. Code enforcement, the salary portion of code enforcement is actually 92% of the budget. I have a very small percentage for expenses. And again, the 3% reduction, when you take into the salary increases, which isn't that big, everybody's basically at a set step. It's probably just longevity and stuff like that, because it only came to 2363 for an increase in the salaries. But it does reduce my expenses by 35.5%. Again, the 3% turns into 35.5%, or I'm into salaries. Now, I put a box in there for fixed expenses. That's the cell phone and the vehicle allowances for the, there's actually 4 inspectors that covers. We don't cover the sealer. He doesn't have a cell phone. So I put that as a fixed expense, which brings my expenses down to $405 on a 3% reduction. That wipes out everything. That wipes out, printing, postage, training, supplies, clothing, office supplies, maintenance. We have a maintenance account for that we chip in for the copiers and stuff like that, or for cell phone. But it wipes out the entire budget. I can't operate like that. So the 3%, I'm into salaries. I've got to cut. So I'm into cutting the assistant inspector from 17